I'm Stan Hustad, your marketing life coach, and I have a question. Could it be that everything you've learned about networking is wrong? Well, let me tell you a story. Years ago, more years ago than I want to remember, I was involved in a worldwide broadcasting program. I had a program, it was called Caribbean Night Call. Went around the world, and particularly all around the Caribbean, and it was kind of a musical musings, news, request program. And here's something I discovered. Do you know that I would oftentimes do this because people would write in. There was no email at that time, and even phone was kind of expensive. So they'd write in and they'd request that I would play a particular song, a dedication for the program. And this is what I oftentimes would do. I'd go something like this. Well, tonight we have a song request. Raphael in Barbados would like me to play One Day at a Time by Tennessee Ernie Ford. Oh, they love that song. Remember it well. And then I would pause. In good broadcast style, I'd say, this song has been requested by Raquel, Raphael, Barbara, Linda, whoever. And then I would say, Raphael, this is for you. You know, it turns out that people love to hear that. They would say it again, Stan. This is for you. And in fact, I've learned that those are some of the most powerful marketing and networking words that you can learn. This is for you. Every presentation, every product, everything we do, we have to understand this is for you. And if you're involved in networking, because you've all heard that mantra, networking, 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 many people are joining leads groups. Many of you belong to networking groups. We're always being hustled and asked to join and be a part of some group that will facilitate our networking. Well, that's good. I'm glad that's happening. But I'm going to go back to another mentor of mine. His name is Peter Drucker. And a number of years ago, this great management and leadership thinker had an article in Forbes magazine in which he said, everything you've learned is wrong. Wow. And what he mentioned is that in the new business economy that was emerging in the late 90s and into the 21st century, so many of the things that we had learned about life and business and marketing and how we put them together, could it be that they're wrong? Well, right now, there are a lot of you who are involved leading a leads group, leading a networking group, involved in networking, trying to be good at networking. And perhaps I'm going to challenge you with that question. Could it be, just a question, just a challenge, could it be that everything you've learned about networking could be wrong? Well, if not wrong, could we do it better? Could we, in a way, find a way to make it more effective? Now, I have not had very good experience with many of the, quote, networking or leads groups that I have sought to be involved in. First of all, I found out that there were just simply a number of poor performances and poor priorities and poor results that came out of that. And so, like many people, I'm wondering, is it really a worthwhile endeavor? Now, if whatever you're doing in your networking group or your leads group or however you're putting that together, if it's working and working well, good for you. I'm glad for you. By the way, I'd love for you to contact me at stan@marketinglifecoach.com, stan@marketinglifecoach.com, and share with me stories as to how you are making a networking, a marketing, a leads group really work and making it work well. However, I have a sneaking suspicion, I don't know, that if it is, it's probably because you're not necessarily doing it the traditional way. You're probably doing it in some of the ways that I would like to talk about today on this program. Could it be that everything you've learned about networking might be wrong? Well, let's go into a little bit of an exposition of what might be happening. Generally, here's kind of how it works. Either it is a event, a networking event, or perhaps it is an organized leads group that you meet with quite often. Now, oftentimes, here is the drill. Whether it's at your local chamber of commerce or your association meeting, or something that is put together informally, or something, again, from a more formal leads or a networking group. And you all come together and you all glad hand and you carry a bunch of business cards and everybody goes around hustling business. Now here's part of the problem that many of us have found when people talk about networking and leads. What they're looking for is for a way for you, the other people out there, to help them. That's right. I'm going to try and network. Why? Well, because I need more business and perhaps you can send me more business, or you can be a source of business, or I can do business with you. And so many of us go into our networking situations trying to get other people to help us. We're going to try and get more business from them. So off we go. And it really kind of resembles a bad singles bar where everybody's trying to pitch themselves and make a deal. Now, does that ring true to some of your experiences? Everybody's out there, everybody's hustling, everybody's trying to get their card in front of everybody, everybody's trying to tell their story, everybody's trying to get business for them. Nothing particularly wrong with that. But I wonder if that's the best way. Well, first of all, I'm going to ask you to remember a constant principle that we have right here. And you see this quite often on the Marketing Life Coach, both in the radio and internet programs on TV that we do that are free and for your enjoyment and for your education, and also in these 45 to 50-minute videos which you can buy and perhaps use to grow your business and grow yourself and make your mark in the world. I call it the secret sign. And the secret sign is this. In effect, everybody is wearing this sign. I don't care who they are. It's a sign that we all wear. It's not oftentimes seen because, truly, it's invisible. But to understand marketing and to understand how we make a difference in the world is, I oftentimes tell people, please read the secret sign. Everyone is saying, please tell me I'm important. And so what do? We talk about ourselves and what we do, and our business. It's a favorite story. If you've heard it before, fine, it's good enough to hear it again. But I oftentimes illustrate, particularly to my colleagues in sales and marketing, and particularly to the many people I've gotten to know by working a lot in the financial services industry. Please imagine that I might have used, when I first started to date my wife, Karen, many years ago, had used a true sales and marketing and referral approach. And so I meet Karen and I take her to a nice little restaurant down from the University of Minnesota where we were involved. And I would say, Karen, I'd like to spend the next 20 minutes talking about me. And I start to do just that. After all, remember the sales approach? I'd like to sit down, get to know you, introduce myself, tell you a little bit about what I do, and see if there's a match. And so I spend 20 minutes to a half hour talking about me. How do you think that's going to go? Then, to make it even worse, After I've survived that, let's say I'm walking her back to the dormitory and I say, Karen, you know what? This has been a delightful evening. Karen, you know that I do like girls. Perhaps there's some other girls here in the dormitory you could suggest that I call on. That's a good idea. I'm seeking business and seeking referrals, leads. How do you think Karen's going to respond to that? Well, what I've just said to Karen is, you know what? This whole event, this whole night, this whole experience has been about me. I want to talk about me. I want me to get what I want, and then I want you to help me get more leads, more names, more business. In effect, Karen was involved with this sign just like everybody else is, and I ignored it. So could I ask you, as you think about the networking experiences you are involved in, the networking events you go to, please remember the sign. It might change everything about what you do. Again, and I used to say this on the radio, so I'll just say it right now, let that sit on your head for a while. Now, let's move forward. If that's clear to you now, let's try and enhance our skills in terms of how we would perhaps perform in networking, or how we would lead a networking group, or simply how we would participate in it. Now, we've just learned the first lesson. Instead of talking about you, why don't you ask people more and more about them? You see, networking is not about getting good leads. And please, can I emphasize this? Networking is about making friends. When you go to a networking event, you are not there to get business cards to call on. You are not there to pitch your stuff and sell your stuff and get more stuff for you. A good networking event is where I'm trying to make good friends. Now, the best kind of networking is friend making. And so I'm very, very clear. When I'm involved in these events, I'm not trying to push my stuff or pick up a card so that I can call on somebody. I'm simply saying is, how can I be friendly? How can I reach out and show interest in other people? How can I hear their story? How can I show interest in them? How can I begin to make them my friend? Now, you see, part of the problem is we're all thinking short term because, we need the sale, we need the business. We may be a little bit desperate for business. Part of the problem is that those people who have got a lot of good business going for them, many of them don't go to networking or leads groups because they don't need to. They already have many friends who recommend them. They already have enough business. And so what happens is it turns out that networking event is kind of a pit of desperate people all pitching themselves, trying to get other people to help them, get them business, or buy from them. That's why many of you have not felt very good about that. It may not be your style. And perhaps when you are treated that way by others, that truly is not your style. What if we would say that this is not about leads, it's not about networking, it's about caring for other people, treating other people well. It's about making good friends. Again, could it be that some of the things you're doing in your networking group and in your networking practice are wrong? Just thought I would ask. Now, let me also hopefully keep the conversation going, and I really have to say this with all, I want to be humble about it. I don't want to be mean and nasty, but you know what? Many of the networking things I've gone to are just plain boring. And the people tend to be boring. Now I'm going to challenge you. First of all, come with energy. That doesn't mean you're bouncing off the wall and glad-handing everybody, but you are there. You're fully present. You're intense. Now, you're not being intense in the sense that you're trying to make things happen, but you're intense in the fact that you're fully devoted to listening to other people. When someone talks to you, don't look off and say, I wonder who I can get to next, or what other business card I can get to next. One of the great counsels that a coach gave to me one time, he said, Stan, when you're working with people, when you're in a group, be fully there and no place else. One particular gentleman that I know who's been very effective and very successful in his life in politics does not work the room. He's not multitasking. He's not looking out of the corner of his eye to see who he should talk to or who he should try and meet or who he should shake hands with next. He has that rare personal quality of making me feel like I'm the most important person in the world. And there are, I know, thousands of people who think and really believe that he is their best friend. Because when he's with them, he's so fully present, so fully listening to them, so fully there. Again, the man who taught me this was not only a coach, he was a bit of a good actor and a performer. And he simply said, when you're there, be fully there and no place else. So, I'm going to ask you, when you walk into a room, first of all, be interesting. Be energetic. Be interesting. Have stories and information and thoughtful ideas that make you interesting. You see, many of us are walking in and we're pitching our business and we're boring. Don't be boring. Find a way, and I'm simply going to ask each of you to hold each other accountable. How can you be prepared to be in an event in such a way that you are an interesting person to talk to? Now, here's the paradox. It seemingly is the opposite, but they're both true. One of the best ways to be interesting is to be interested in other people. Hey, what's your story? Tell me about your business. How did you get involved in that? Why don't you not only seek to be interesting, but why don't you seek to be interested in other people? Now, do you see where this is going? First of all, it's about being very present, treating every person you meet as the most important person in the world, reading their sign, having something of interest to other people, something that is helpful to them, and then a great deal of interest in them. I cannot tell you how many events that I've been to in which what I felt was that I was simply involved in a pit of pitchers. Everybody is pitching their stuff. Everybody's looking out for them. Everybody is telling things about what they do and what they're up to and about their company. And I'm sitting there saying, you know what? Are you really interested in me, in what I do, and the business that I'm involved in, and the life experiences I've had? So please, be interesting to talk to, but more importantly, and put it together in the right proportion, can you be interested? I can tell you time after time after time that some of the people who have the most luck in networking groups are those people who say less and less and less about themselves and ask more and more and greater and more effective questions about others. Now, they're prepared for their little bit of a 60-second or 30-second presentation. They may be carrying something of interest, of value, besides some boring business card. But what they do is they make everybody else the subject of the conversation. And they're simply there to be a great audience as other people do their show. Again, just let that sit on your head for a while. Now, this is the thing that drives me crazy. I have to say it. I have never been to a leads group. Now, I confess, I don't like to go to them anymore. But I shouldn't say never, hardly ever. Okay, sorry for the exaggeration, but you get my point. I've hardly ever been to a leads group in which somebody has really given a great presentation. Now, you all know the drill. We've all been there. We're pitching ourselves, and there's that 30-second commercial. That's elevator speech. I always thought that was strange. Why do people think they should give speeches in elevators? That 1-minute message. And so we go around the room. Again, you've all been there. And everybody stands up and gives their 30-second or their 1-minute message. And then they say something like is, and the kind of person I'm looking for, or the kind of referral I'm looking for. And by the way, we may talk about this at another time. I never use the word referral. I don't want any referrals. I want recommendations. Think about that. As I say in another program, stop asking for referrals and start deserving recommendations. I don't want referrals. I want something greater. But again, that's a subject for another show. But as we go ahead, that's what they do. Now, I confess, I've had a lot of experience, both in radio and TV, in trying to understand how to do a good 1-minute message. I've done it all my life. I know that I don't get 20 minutes to tell my story. The wonderful thing about a leads group, if you take it seriously, is it understands the modern media. Truly, the world has been changed by the media. 30 seconds, 60 seconds, maybe 15 seconds, 10 seconds. In fact, there was one very effective commercial that was 3 seconds. You don't have a lot of time to tell your story. Now, let me just inform you that there is a very, very good chance that unless you are truly exceptional, that the 30-second or 60-second presentation, 1-minute message, commercial that you are giving in your networking or leads group is boring, poorly performed, and not engaging, energetic, or exciting, or in any way draws me in. You give your name, and I oftentimes say to them, well, are you sure that's important? Give the name of your company. I oftentimes say, who cares? Then you talk about what you do or how you do it. Now, can I walk that through again? You're trying to engage me, to really get me to want to talk to you, and so you give me your name, you give me the name of your company, and then you talk about what you do and how you do it. Hey, do I really care about what your full name is? Do I really care about the name of your company? Do I really care what you do? And maybe even more boring of you, do I even care how you do it? Please keep in mind, I want you to understand this. Not only is everybody wearing a sign, but they're also listening to a radio station. That's right. Did you know what it is? Everybody you meet, and I want you to kind of mentally see this now, so I'm not even going to show it to you with a PowerPoint or write it down. I want you to see it in your own eyes. everybody is listening to WIIFM. Some of you already know what that radio station is. Everybody's listening to What's in It for Me. Again, they're not interested in you and your company and how you do what you do and how good you are. They want to know what's in it for me. And so, cut with all the rest of the stuff and talk about how my life will be better. Tell me how I'm going to make or save money. Tell me how I could be happier because you're my friend. Now, can I go through that again? Those are the three things people buy. These are the three things they're really concerned about. There aren't many more that I can think of, and all the ones that other people have brought to me in my presentations tend to fall into these three categories. I will part with money if I genuinely am convinced. And it might be wrong. You might disappoint me. Oftentimes you do. I really believe that if I part with my money, my life and my situation is going to be better. Things are going to be better for me because I did whatever you asked me to do, or bought whatever you asked me to buy, or took the service that was being pitched to me. Secondly, I believe you're going to make or save me money. Somehow, there is an expense or something I need, and what you are offering is going to make me money. Or at least if it doesn't make me money, what I need to have done, my truck repaired, my house determited, we have to do that here a lot in Tucson, Arizona, that you're going to save me money that I normally would have to have. Thirdly, it's going to make me happy. It's going to be a good experience. Now, those are the three things that I'm really interested in knowing whenever I'm involved in some kind of commercial transaction or transformation. Okay, can we go through those again? Think about them now. Okay. In effect, how is my life and situation going to be better? How am I going to make or save money? How am I going to be happy? Why don't you use that 30 seconds, that 60 seconds to help me save money? Help me make money. Help me understand how my situation could be better. Say something, give me something, demonstrate to me that my life, could be happy, that I could be happier. Now, that's why I do business with people. Because somehow I believe that those things are going to happen. Think about it. Now, you can add to that, but when I'm networking or marketing, when I'm telling people about what I do, I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about how I can help you. Who cares what I do? Who cares what my name is? Who cares what the name of my company is? Who cares how I do it? Please, as I oftentimes say, don't describe what you do, demonstrate how good you are in helping me. Have you got that? Don't describe what you do, demonstrate how good you are in helping me. I literally want to be in a networking group where I am so helpful and thoughtful and useful to people, to other people, that they themselves would say, that was a good experience. He helped me today. I'm better off. I can do something I couldn't do before. Instead of pitching yourself, trying to take their money, why don't you stand forward and actually help them? And in doing so, you can say, this is about you and how I can help you. Now, let me tell you, I have seldom, and I almost would say never, have heard anyone. And the one reason I say is a little bit of an exception is one time I went to a networking group, and the young man who was in the auto business had asked me to help him do his 1 minute. And he told a story. That's right. He just told a story. A little 1 minute story about how he had saved somebody lots of money and kept them out of a lot of trouble with an automobile. And he smiled, and he was funny, and he was engaging, and he was successful and remains successful to this day, because as he goes to his various groups, he knows how to do that 1 minute message. Now, I'm going to do this by kind of bringing you into a little radio and TV and perhaps a copywriting secret. Now, I could do this with a PowerPoint, but you know what? I'm not going to do that. I'm going to ask you to understand that when you use PowerPoint, you give away your power, and I want you to participate. So right now, I want you to think about this. Perhaps take out a piece of paper or a card, or maybe grab that boring business card. That's right. Do most of you understand that your business card is boring? It doesn't catch my attention. It doesn't make me smile. It's just kind of an everyday boring business card. Why do you think you have to give people a business card? Isn't there something else that you could give them that isn't boring? Something that's helpful, something that's useful, something that's helpful, something that would make them smile? Again, I'm just asking you to think about that rather than coming prepared to hand out and retrieve business cards. And we all know that when we say that, what we really want to do is we want to hand them out, because we're not really interested in getting other people's cards, because of course the goal all along is to get my card in front of people so I can get business from them. Again, could it be that everything we're thinking about in this networking business is wrong? Now, on this piece of paper, I want to introduce you to something that almost every advertising copywriter knows. And I'm afraid that those of you who've had sales and marketing training have oftentimes been subject to malpractice because you've not been taught this. Whenever you're putting together a 1 minute message, a commercial, something that's going to go out in the world, we have what I call the ADA formula. And it's a bit of a modification of something that's been around for a number of years. And it simply is this. Take that piece of paper and in good old YMCA fashion, right? A. Okay. I. D. Kind of hard to do. D. A. A. I. D. D. A. What we call the ADA formula. Now, in creating a commercial for your website, creating perhaps a Super Bowl style commercial for your website, perhaps in actually telling your story when it's your turn to be on, to do your 30-second or 1 minute. Here's the rule. In just a few seconds, I have to get your attention. Okay, write that out now. Attention. And after I've got your attention, I have to keep your interest. Okay, now write that down. Now I'm going to wait till you get it done. Attention, interest. And so I have to start my story or my program or my presentation in such a way that I've got your attention. And as I've said, unfortunately, too many of those things that I have heard and seen people do are boring. They don't get my attention. Then you have to keep me interested to the point where all of a sudden you are talking about something very, now here it is, desirable. I would like that. That would be nice. And so you have to in some way help me to desire something. I would like that. Then you have to help me make a decision. You have to call me to a point where I say, that is something I would like to do. Now, many of you are seeing where this is going. Attention, interest, desire, decision, and what's the final A? Action. Tell people how they can take action. Dial 1-800, call in, go to the website. Now, if you're in the business of doing business in the 21st century and you don't know what I call the ADA formula, you're not going to be successful. Because that's vital to networking, it's vital to marketing, it's vital to speech making. Even as I give this program, I know that I continually have to keep your attention, I have to keep it interesting, I have to say things that hopefully will keep you desiring to know more. And eventually, I'm probably going to ask you to make some decisions and take action. Every good speech, every good presentation, every good marketing performance you give, every 30-second, 60-second has in it the element of attention, interest, desiring something that they want, a decision that they can make or should make, and the action that they can take. Now, we literally have an entire program on that, your 1-minute message, the ADA formula. But I'm going to encourage you to right now write and think about how you can begin to put the ADA formula into your presentation. Now, one of the best ways to get people's attention, and I guarantee this, is let me tell you a story. I start every presentation that I can that way. When people hear the words, let me tell you a story, guess what they do? They want to hear the story. And my story is one that hopefully will draw people in, and it will keep them interested. And the story may have elements that help people discover that there's some things they would like. Things they would like to have, things they would like to change, or some advantage in doing something. So they decide and they take action. So I'm going to encourage you to think about, in that next 30-second talk I give, in that next 60-second presentation, let me think not in terms of an elevator speech about what I do. Let me think in terms of how I can tell a story, how I can say something that people find, that's interesting. I'd like that. I'd like to know more. How did you do that? Great. Wow. Neat. Those are the kinds of expressions, the emotional and literally physical expressions you're hoping for when you quietly, perhaps calmly, but with energy and enthusiasm, and those things can go together, by the way, you tell your story, give your 1-minute message, make your presentation. My friend stood up and said, I just saved a woman $500 in repairs on a new car. There we are. You got my attention. And then an interest. And then a desirable thing that he had been able to do for them. And it all came down to, if you do business with this gentleman, if you do business with me, this is the kind of an experience I think you can have demonstrated by his story. Now that gets me back to the other part of a good networking presentation. Don't describe what you do, demonstrate how good you are and how useful you are. Can I please say that again? Use this time to be helpful and useful to other people. Don't just tell people what you do. They don't care what you do. Demonstrate to them that you're really helpful. Demonstrate to them that you're useful. Demonstrate in that usefulness and in that helpfulness that you're pretty good at what you do. You may be the very best in what you do. By the way, that should be all of your goals, to be the very, very best. This is what I do. I do this for you. And I can proudly say to myself and proclaim to others, and I'm very good at what I do. I do it well. One gentleman has totally increased his practice by simply telling a story of how he's helped people. And in the ending to his little 1-minute message, he says, that's all I do, helping people in that way. And I do it well. And I do it well. Now, can I ask you this question? What can you put down under the title, and I do it well? That's a great way to make sure you're prepared for that networking group. And I do it well. That's how you would end. Without excessive pride or trying to boast or totally self-promote, just with quiet confidence, you can say, because it's the truth, I love what I do, and I do it well. Could I be helpful to you? How might I be useful to you? What are the things you need in your life and business right now? Even if it has nothing to do with what you're selling or pitching then. You know what? What do you need? What would make your life better? I may not have it. I may not be able to help you, but what are the things you really need or are looking for in your business right now? Perhaps the best way to get what you want, as someone has said, and you've heard it before, is to help other people get what they want. Well, I've got about 3 minutes left to go in this presentation. I hope it has been helpful and useful to you, and you'll get in touch with us. How do I start? Well, here's the fun way. Here's what I want you to do as a way to start your great networking or lead group presentation. I want you to say this. I want you to write out 3 questions in which the answer is you. Now I'm going to give you an example. Who can produce great video presentations? My friend in the next room, Josh. So his question could be, in effect, who can produce great video presentations to help people market themselves? The answer is Josh. Now, I'm simply going to ask you the same 3 questions. Write out 3 good questions. I help people market themselves and have more fun and make more money. Who can do that? The answer is Stan. I want you to sit down right now. Now, we can help you if you want help. We can come to your group or your leads group and help you make it happen. But what are 3 great questions? Great questions. Important questions. The kinds of questions that people would ask in which you are the answer to. Now, once you have those 3 questions, expand it to a number of questions, and then with thoughtfulness and preparation, you begin to come together so that you can truly make a great presentation. You can tell a great story. You can be very interesting. You can demonstrate what you do. You can show people how good you are. You can be useful to them. You can share wisdom and insight and energy. And in fact, they walk out of that experience not thinking about all of the other stuff that they were involved in, all the stuff they were trying to pitch, but they think about you because you made a difference in their life. You made an impact on them. You were helpful to them in that hour, in that luncheon, in that presentation together. You see, it's about the life you live, how you treat and help and serve others that truly makes a difference. Are you doing all those things? Well, if not, it just might be that what you're doing is wrong. And could it be that everything you've learned about networking is wrong? Well, my challenge to you, if you do it this way, I think you will discover that it will begin to go better for you. You could be a great networker, a great marketer, a great person, and you can make a difference in other people's life, in their business, indeed in their world. Who knows, maybe the world. I'm Stan Hustad. I'm your marketing life coach, wishing you all the best and blessings in you networking with others. Bye for now.